and welcome back to my channel. I am so sorry that it has taken me so long to upload another video. I know it's been a few weeks now, almost a month. But basically I have been doing renovations in my house and it has just been absolutely impossible to film anything. But we are almost done them now and I have my books set back up. I have a nice little sitting spot here and I'm finally able to film another video for you guys. So today we are going to talk about 5 different thrillers that you can binge read all in one session. So these are books that are so good, that keep you on the edge of your seat, that are just absolute page turners that you cannot wait to come back to read. You just want to sit down with it and consume the whole thing in one sitting if you possibly can. So these are also all shorter books. They're all around the 300-ish page mark. Nothing's higher than 400, I don't think. So they are all books that you possibly could actually finish all in one day, and ones that I highly rated on Goodreads as well. So the first book that we're going to talk about today is Emma in the Night by Wendy Walker, and I read this one a few years ago on my old booktube channel. My friend and I did a bestie book babble about it where we went into a deep dive review on this and we both really enjoyed it. I am going to just read the synopsis for you since it has been so long since I read it. I don't remember off the top of my head fully enough to give you a thorough explanation. So I'm just going to read the synopsis. And it says, one night, 15-year-old Cass and her 17-year-old sister Emma disappear. The family car is found deserted at a nearby ranch, but the authorities are baffled by what could have become of them. 3 years later, with just the clothes on her back and no evidence or credibility to back up her claims of what happened, Cass returns home without her sister. Her tale is one of kidnapping and isolation and the mysterious island where the two were held. But Cass's story has holes, and to forensic psychologist Dr. Abby Winter, something about it just doesn't add up. As an expert in narcissistic personality disorder, Dr. Winter looks deeply into Cass's family to uncover the truth. She looks at the mother, a woman so beautiful on the surface and so damaged and damaging beneath. She looks at the stepfather and the stepbrother, each so uniquely troubled and dangerous. And she looks at Cass herself. What she finds will shock those searching for Emma and reveal a twisted story of a deeply dysfunctional family and the lengths to which Cass has gone to bring about redemption. So I remember with this one, the twist being just like coming completely out of nowhere for me. There is a very, very good twist in here. You think you have things figured out and then you don't see it coming. And this one, like I said, definitely fast-paced thriller. You're just constantly wondering, this is such a good mystery. You're wondering what happened to this girl? Where is her sister? What's going on? And something doesn't add up with it. The next book that we are going to talk about is Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips. And this one I have mentioned on my channel before, but this is one of the first thrillers that I read shortly after having my son, and it really freaked me out because it is about a mother and her 4-year-old son. And one day she picks him up from preschool and she decides to take him to the zoo. So they grab a snack, they go to the zoo, they're just having an awesome afternoon. And then they decide that it's time to go home. She wants to get dinner started and they start heading towards the exit of the zoo, when she starts hearing screams and gunshots. And it turns out that the zoo is being attacked. There are 2 men that are conducting a shooting in this zoo and people are running everywhere. They're right at the entrance. So the mother grabs her son, she goes and hides, and it's kind of becomes a cat and mouse game from there. The story all takes place in one night. As you can imagine, like, the authorities come and they close down the zoo. The zoo is surrounded by authorities, but the men are inside the zoo. She's with her 4-year-old son. These men are shooting at anything that moves. So she's trying so hard to keep her son hidden, but of course he's 4. So, I mean, I have a 4-year-old son right now and I can't imagine this happening. She's just trying to save her son as well as herself. So it's very, very scary. It's very anxiety inducing. And I remember, like I said, I read this shortly after having my son. And I just like remember putting myself into this position thinking, what would I even do if this happened to me? And that made it even more scary to me. But I started this at about 10 o'clock at night. I just wanted to read a couple of chapters before I went to bed, and I ended up staying up until like 3 in the morning. I was like, I gotta go to bed because I had a newborn. I was like, my baby's gonna keep me up early in the morning as it is. But this is definitely one that you're gonna want to binge in one sitting. So the next book that we're going to talk about is a little bit more of the true crime rather than thriller, and that is The Diary of Jack the Ripper. So this is actually, it says it includes the full text of the diary and the arguments for and against its authenticity. So basically, if you've not heard of this was a while ago already, but the identity of Jack the Ripper is possibly unveiled in this book. And what happened is there is a diary that has been found. I think it's found in an old house or something like that. And this person takes credit for the murders. And the person is James Maybrick. He's a cotton merchant from Liverpool who died in 1889 of suspected arsenic poisoning. And he basically keeps this diary of all the murders. There are details in the diary about the murders that other people wouldn't know, that weren't published in the papers or anything like that. So really only the murderer could have known about this. And then there are, like it says in this synopsis, it says that there are arguments for and against its authenticity. So it has not been proven to actually be the Diary of Jack the Ripper, but a lot of people think that it actually is. So it says, the identity of Jack the Ripper, history's first and most notorious serial killer, has confounded experts for decades. The subject of the greatest manhunt in police history, the case has been one with endless speculation, with a wide variety of suspects named over the years, including even one theory naming the Duke of Clarence, the grandson of Queen Victoria. Here at last may be the answer to this compelling mystery. A diary found recently in Liverpool, England, is signed yours truly, Jack the Ripper, and it describes in grisly detail the murders of 1888 to 1889. The diary is filled with clues that identify its author as James Maybrick, a cotton merchant from Liverpool who died in 1889 of suspected arsenic poisoning. In another celebrated case of the day, Maybrick's wife, Florrie, was accused of his murder. But as we read in the diary, Maybrick's poisoning was probably the result of his own arsenic addiction, an addiction that contributed to his secret life in London as Jack the Ripper. The diary is a subject of considerable controversy, and a report questioning its authenticity is included here, along with a rebuttal to that report. Certainly, whatever one concludes after reading these reports, there are many questions still unanswered. If Jack the Ripper was not James Maybrick, who was he? And if this is not Maybrick's diary, who wrote it and why? The Diary of Jack the Ripper presents one of the most fascinating puzzles in crime history, and as we follow the detective work that overlays the diary with what is known about James Maybrick and Jack the Ripper, we can each decide, were they one and the same? So this one was really, really good. And what I also like about it is that they actually include the actual pages. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but they actually include the real pages of the diary. So yeah, this one was really, really interesting. And if you are a true crime buff, this one will definitely pique your interest. The next book that we're going to talk about is one that I read on audiobook, and it is called Her Every Fear by Peter Swanson. Growing up, Kate Pretty was always a bit of a neurotic, experiencing momentary bouts of anxiety that exploded into full-blown panic attacks after an ex-boyfriend kidnapped her and nearly ended her life. When Corbin Dell, a distant cousin in Boston, suggests the two temporarily swap apartments, Kate, an art student in London, agrees, hoping that some time away in a new place will help her overcome the recent wreckage of her life. Soon after her arrival at Corbin's grand apartment on Beacon Hill, Kate makes a shocking discovery. His next-door neighbor, a young woman named Audrey Marshall, has been murdered. When the police question her about Corbin, a shaken Kate has few answers, and many questions of her own. Curiosity that intensifies when she meets Alan Cherney, a handsome, quiet tenant who lives across the courtyard, in the apartment facing Audrey's. Alan saw Corbin surreptitiously come and go from Audrey's place, yet he's denied knowing her. Then, Kate runs into a tearful man claiming to be the dead woman's old boyfriend, who insists Corbin did the deed that night he left for London. When she reaches out to her cousin, he proclaims his innocence and calms her nerves until she comes across disturbing objects hidden in the apartment and accidentally learns that Corbin is not where he says he is. Could Corbin be a killer? What about Alan? Kate finds herself so drawn to this appealing man who seems so sincere, yet she isn't sure. Jet-lagged and emotionally unstable, her imagination full of dark images caused by the terror of her own past, Kate can barely trust herself. So how could she just take the chance on a stranger she just met? So this one, as you can tell, is a whodunit sort of mystery, and this girl is trying to come to terms with her own past and really try to figure out what has happened and who she can trust. Once again, very fast-paced thriller. You're not sure what's going on, and there was a good twist at the end as well of this one. The last book that we are going to talk about today is one that was quite popular when it came out, and that is The Chalkman by C.J. Tudor. This is another one that I read on audiobook, and I just remember I have visions of myself walking around my neighborhood pushing my son when he was just a baby, my first son when he was just a baby, pushing him around and just trying to get some exercise and listening to this as I walked. But the synopsis says, in 1986, Eddie and his friends are just on the verge of adolescence. They spend their days biking around their sleepy English village and looking for any taste of excitement they can get. The Chalkmen are their secret code, little chalk stick figures they leave for one another as messages only they can understand. But then a mysterious Chalkman leads them right to a dismembered body, and nothing is ever the same. Fast forward to 2016, Eddie is fully grown and thinks he's put his past behind him. But then he gets a letter in the mail containing a single chalk stick figure. When it turns out that his friends got the same message, they think it could be a prank until one of them turns up dead. That's when Eddie realizes that saving himself means finally figuring out what really happened all those years ago. So this one kind of almost gives me Stephen King's It vibes, but in a lot less words and a lot less creepy Stephen Kingness. If you guys have never seen, I did a video talking about why I don't like Stephen King. One of the reasons that he puts a lot of just really disturbing images into his books that I feel don't really have a place in them. And I understand that that adds to the creepy factor, but it just, I don't know. I feel like it's unnecessary a lot of the time. But so this kind of almost gives me that vibe with, you know, going back and forth between the kids being young and then the present day, and then all coming back together to try to solve this, you know, whatever's going on, one of them dying on the way. Like, there's a lot of different sort of things that picks up on Stephen King's It for me. But I liked this book a lot better. Anyways, you guys, that is going to wrap it up for me today. So those are 5 thrillers that I think you will want to read all in one sitting. These are all really, really awesome thrillers, and let me know in the comments down below if you decide to pick them up and your thoughts on them. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!